Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Nate Phillip. I'm on the marketing team with Metadata, and we are super excited to have you here and talk about account-based marketing and our brand new integration with LinkedIn. Before we actually jump into the content, I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping items. The first is on the left side of your screen. You'll see a chat box. We're going to be using that to collect questions throughout the webinar, so feel free to ask them as you think of them. We're going to be holding off on addressing questions until a dedicated Q&A portion at the end of the webinar. But do go ahead and submit them as you think of them, and we'll be sure to get to as many as we can. Additionally, this webinar is being recorded, so we'll probably get that up hopefully by the end of the day today. Get that out over email to you and to the folks who couldn't make it today. We encourage you to forward that along or tweet about it or share it with your friends and colleagues. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce our speakers. First, we're going to have Ty Heath, who runs the partner education team over at LinkedIn. And after her, we'll have Gil Alouche, the founder and CEO of Metadata, run through his presentation. So Ty, with that, I will hand things over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that introduction. So everyone, we're committed that you leave here today understanding three things. So first, we want to share some background on what's driving the convergence of sales and marketing. We also want to share some thoughts around sales and marketing alignment and offer a frame for that. And then we'll dig into automation. So I'm excited for all of you to hear from Gil some really cool new ways to gain efficiency through automation with metadata. So a lot of great content we have for you that we'll cover today. So without further ado, I'll dive right in. And to start our conversation, I like to talk about our North Star, and it's really the North Star of our team here, both LinkedIn and Metadata. So as marketers, our goal really is to help sales win. And we do that by making the lives of salespeople easier. And that means making our customers' decisions clearer as marketers. We know that if sales isn't having conversations, that they're not advancing towards a goal. So as marketers, it's really our job to help salespeople make conversations happen. So that's really what's at the core of this conversation and what we're wanting to accomplish with account-based marketing strategy. And B2B organizations that invest in account-based marketing are seeing incredible results. So I want to share more about that and what's possible when you have an aligned sales and marketing team to set the conversation. So our data shows that when marketers work side by side with sellers, the team overall is more productive. And top marketers recognize the value of that alignment. So on this slide, there are some client results from Serious Decisions State of Account-Based Marketing Study for companies that have used ABM. Companies that invest in ABM see more than 20% increase in deal size. They see a 30% improvement in customer health scores, more than 200% increase in contribution to sales pipeline, and more than 10x increase in trial acceptance rates. So there's a ton of value that can be realized, and we're going to share more about how you can capture that now. So first, to get started, it's important to really recognize and invest in the bond between sales and marketing team. And here at LinkedIn, we like to talk about the bond between a company's sales team and a marketing department as a relationship. And so we've done some research, and according to that latest global research from Join the Dots and LinkedIn, it shows that these two departments are becoming much, much more aligned. And that solid partnership can take a lot of different forms. So I like to think of it in the sense of power couples and dynamic duos. So one of my favorite power couples is Jay-Z and Beyonce, and then you have Batman and Robin as being a dynamic duo. And they're also winning combinations like peanut butter and jelly. So as you think about that, you want your relationship to be like that, and you want it to work out because the benefits of that relationship and that coming together are real, tangible, and they mean a better bottom line for your business. So there's a lot of value to be realized out of that collaboration. And so what's really driving this convergence of sales and marketing? Gone are the days where sales and marketing can operate in silos. And the impetus for this change is coming from our most valuable resource, and those are our prospects and our customers. So they're the ones who are really behind driving this change that we're seeing in the market. A key reason for this is that there's a reality that buyers find it more productive to spend their time online and less time with salespeople. So we found that 68% of B2B buyers find going online superior to interacting with a salesperson. And this is up from 53% in 2015. This is according to a Forrester research study. So what this means for us is that it's important to invest in both having a strong sales team, so a team that could recognize and hone in on buyer challenges and deliver on them. But just as important, it's important for marketing to understand what those challenges are in conversation with customers and with the sales team, and then to provide strong digital marketing assets to set that sales team up for success. So that's what this means for the future. And our buyers have higher expectations. So take a look at these snapshots. These are web properties that I use. So you're getting a window into my soul here on this slide here. So you'll see Amazon, Spotify, and Netflix. And in my Amazon, you'll see I like to buy multivitamins and NyQuil and DayQuil. Don't judge me. I don't like to suffer. And then in Spotify, I love dancehall reggae, and Spotify has recommended some amazing daily mixes for me. And then who doesn't love Black Mirror in Netflix? And Netflix does an excellent job of making personal recommendations as well. The point here is that buyers are becoming accustomed to these personalized experiences, and they expect more. So but whether it's Netflix, Amazon, or Spotify, they deliver these highly personalized experiences. And while these are B2C examples, this is creeping over to B2B, and it absolutely raises the expectations for B2B buyers. So this is something that we all need to pay more attention to, and also ABM allows us to deliver this on a higher level in partnership with the sales team. Another trend that we're seeing here is that sales and marketing have started to converge. So this is actually happening with the top account-based marketing focused organizations. And so what we're seeing in terms of that convergence is sales is encouraging marketing to move down the funnel by engaging prospects throughout the sales cycle. They recognize that positive impact that marketing has on close rates and sales cycle times. And at the same time, on the flip side, marketers are looking for sales to move up the funnel by leveraging their social presence to drive brand awareness and expectation. So you can see the roles of sales and marketers are starting to really blur, and it's important to make sure that you're aligned and partnered so you're realizing as much value out of this as you can. So just to provide an example here, marketing has a huge role to play because marketing creates connectivity. So let's say you run an account-based marketing campaign to a list of 10,000 companies. Through that effort, you're going to create a ton of valuable connections for your sales force. And with ABM, I'm asking you to consider that connectivity is a leading indicator of the ROI that can be delivered. So just to give you a stat on this point, take a look at the chart on this slide. So we've seen, for instance, that if a salesperson sends an in-mail, so a sponsored in-mail, to a prospect, they might get a 16% response rate. But if that prospect is exposed to thought leadership, if they're exposed to content marketing, there's a 150% lift, and the response rate jumps to 40%. That's 14 times higher than the kind of response rates you see in standard email. So increasingly, that connectivity is so important And our clients realize it's a very powerful side effect of the marketing activities. Relationships matter, ultimately, is what this slide is pointing out. And that connectivity is a critical key performance indicator for account-based marketing campaigns. So absolutely something to consider. And here at LinkedIn, we've been working with our customers to bring the sales and marketing worlds together. And we've been working with our partners to bring the sales and marketing worlds together. That's why we're here today with Metadata. So we see a future where sales and marketing teams are much, much more aligned, enabled by a shared view of the same data, a view of each other's activity, and most importantly, with the customer being at the very center of that activity. So in an upcoming release, we're committed to making sure that Sales Navigator, our product for supporting sales prospecting, is connected with LinkedIn's Campaign Manager tool. So our salespeople can tell us what are the most important prospects that we should be reaching out to. So that's more of a partnership to nurture the sales organization's high-value accounts and leads. So we're really invested in enabling targeting of that same sweet spot and working together to understand our customers and engage them more effectively throughout the entire purchase journey. So that's what this investment is all about. So before I hand it over to Gil to share more about automation, I thought I would end on this quote to wrap things up in this section. And that's that salespeople need to be more like marketers in this new digital world. And marketers need to be more like salespeople. More and more of the sales cycle is becoming the responsibility of marketing. But then for a salesperson, it's becoming more and more part of their responsibility to position themselves as thought leaders and market themselves as such. So one of the key takeaways here is that there's absolutely a blurring of these roles happening. And in order to realize the value of account-based marketing, we need to do more to be aligned and in partnership and learn from the sales team, and in turn, they can learn from marketing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gil to share more about how you can automate your account-based marketing and gain efficiency with this new integration. So Gil, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ty. And you know, Ty spoke about kind of all that matters for companies who are considering ABM, and they're wondering why should they do it. And you know, Ty's slides really speak about that. The convergence between sales and marketing is happening. The benefit, the value of ABM is clear. But if you were to try to set up and execute an account-based marketing strategy today, you would find it somewhat confusing. If you go to Google and you put ABM or account-based marketing, you'll find many types of companies who will pop up as an ad and as a top result. And that's because account-based marketing is a paradigm shift from casting a very wide net and doing spray and pray, a tactic that still kind of works for consumer business, but never really worked for business to business. So the paradigm shift is happening, and more and more companies are looking to move to an account-based marketing approach and a targeted advertising and targeted marketing approach. But moving from strategy to execution is a little bit challenging. And that is because there are three components that you have to have kind of baked together in order to have a successful account-based marketing process. The first component is what worked in the past. You know, at Metadata, we have this ongoing campaign that's called the half-an-hour consulting. And in the half-an-hour consulting, we essentially help companies without ever talking about our product, our platform, our customers, our price, without having any commercial attitude. We hop on a call with an enterprise, a mid-market, or an enterprise customer, and they ask us, how do I start with ABM? And that is the most common question. We get all kinds of questions: how to get, buy-in from management. How do I, what's going to be my cost per lead? What's going to be my impact? How do I get sales in line, so on and so forth. But by far, the major question, the biggest question is, how do I get started? I don't really know. I understand what it is, but I don't really know how to start, the first step. And the first step in doing an ABM is to understand what worked in the past so that you can decide what to do next. So buyer insight is the component that tells you, based on your historical sales data, who did you successfully sell to so far, either your biggest ticket item deals, your close one bookings, or your shortest sales cycle, or a combination. Your largest deals that close in the shortest amount of time into close one. And understanding what kind of correlates to your close one successful bookings will tell you who you should sell to, what kind of companies you have successfully sold to your biggest deals in the shortest sales cycle, and what kind of people, who is the buying committee, if you will, within those companies. Once you have that straightened up, then you can go and start sourcing a new list of targets to go after. Then you can come up with your list of companies to go after and the list of people within those companies you should engage with in order to get into a sales cycle. So understanding what worked in the past is the first step. Then you have the data sources. So let's say now you understand exactly who you successfully sold to your biggest deals in the shortest sales cycle in the past 2 years, and you understand the criteria. You know what industry they're from, you know what technology they're using, you know what their locations, what's the company size, you know what the job titles of the people that you need to speak to, their seniority, the group they belong to, or the skill set, or the education that they have, so on and so forth. So you can find out everything about the companies and the people within those companies that you sold to successfully in the past. And now you want to use the same criteria to essentially set up a new list of targets to go after, and particular people within those targets that you should engage with. For that, you have to engage with data sources. You have to go to, well, depending on what data you're looking for. If you're one of your ideal customer profile attributes is technologies that they're using, then if we're talking about front-end technologies, meaning if it matters to you whether your prospect is using Marketo or HubSpot, or whether they're using Google Analytics or HIP, or they're using any of those kind of web-facing tools, then you can go to a company like Data9. If you're looking for a little bit more sophisticated kind of back-end technology, so trying to understand whether they're using Microsoft Azure or AWS, or they're using Hadoop, or they're using Hortonworks, or whether they're using this router by Cisco or this router by HP, then you have to buy your data from AG Data. So those companies will give you technology install base data. Then you have companies like ZoomInfo or InsideView or PIPL and Clearbit and Full Contact and Leadfirst and all of those companies that will essentially sell you firmographic and demographic data. You have a list of industries you're going after, company sizes, job titles, seniority. Those can help you with that. And then finally, you have the buyer intent categories. So you want to understand what current companies are currently in the sales cycle for a load balancer or for a marketing automation system or for a CRM. And so those data sources can tell you that. So you understand who you successfully sold to in the past. Now you use that insight to purchase a new list of target accounts and particular people within those accounts. And now you have to actually go after those accounts. You have to go and start running ads, sending them emails, sending them direct mails using WAB or something of such. And so now it's time to actually execute campaigns again. And again, you have many, many, many different solutions here. You have solutions that help you run ads, help you send email, so on and so forth. So how do you take all of those components together and you mash them up into one process that is fully optimized? And that is why Metadata is here, to help you fix that broken process that is currently here of setting up a campaign in an automated way, not going through the technical mundane task of setting up a campaign, buying data, uploading content, uploading creative, setting up a UTM tag, setting up pixels, conversion pixels, enrichment pixels, doing A/B testing on creative, doing A/B testing on the collateral, doing A/B testing on the channels. It ends up being a lot of work that is not necessarily best done by a human. And so the first piece is kind of connecting those three components together. The second one is automating it. And the third one is testing among all the different variations that you have. And that is essentially what Metadata Automated ABM is. So with Metadata, the platform works in such a way that it uses multivariate execution, essentially multivariate testing, using many, many different variables like what segment of the audience we're going after, what channel, what offer are we going with? Is this white paper or this ebook or this case study? What creative are we going to serve to that particular person within a particular company? What campaign type are we going to choose? Is it going to be a display ad campaign? Is it going to be a sponsored content? Is it going to be a lead gen campaign? Pop up a window right on Facebook, right on LinkedIn or on different channels? And then, of course, how do you optimize everything? Not based on the metrics that you're already familiar with, not based on impressions or clicks, but how do you optimize against KPI that you're actually measured by, and that is penetration into named accounts, pipeline created, bookings, number of opportunities. And that's what a system like Metadata provides you. It provides you an execution platform for all of your ABM tactics. So whether you're doing top of the funnel campaign, whether you're doing sales acceleration, whether you're going after a particular 1,000 accounts, you can use metadata to spin off all of those campaigns in such a way that you can 100% guarantee the accuracy of the targeting. You can actually preview the audience that you're targeting with metadata before you actually target with the platform. You can preview the companies you're about to go after and the people you're about to go after. And then only when you confirm and approve it, only then metadata will go and fetch the cookies, the mobile device IDs, the personal corporate emails, the IP address, the social handles, the phone numbers, any piece of PII, personally identifiable information, that metadata can grab about your exact personas within your target companies. And only then, after you confirm that, yes, these are exactly the people that you want to go after and the companies you want to go after, only then it starts to spin off hundreds to thousands of campaigns automatically, and automatically also optimize them based on the impact they make in your pipeline. So just to recap, the Metadata Platform connects to your existing stack. It connects to your LinkedIn account. It's a one-click integration. It connects into your other social ad account, connects to your programmatic, into our own programmatic channel so that you can run, even if you don't have a programmatic seat, you can run programmatic advertising, which is essentially just like retargeting without the re. It starts amplifying ads to your right personas within the right companies in any website they go to, whether it's a LinkedIn, YouTube, it's ESPN or NBC, etc. And then all the data is already available to you. Metadata in the backend is already connected to all the major B2B data sources. We are connected to ZoomInfo and to InstantView and Edge Data and Bombora and so on and so forth, to dozens of different data sources. And so the audience creation and the precise audience targeting can be done within metadata, and then the campaign execution, all of it can be done within metadata without having to log in and log out to different systems, buying data, setting up campaigns, so on and so forth. So let's take a look. What does the process actually look like step by step? So we start, just like we mentioned in the beginning, the first thing to do when you start working with metadata is to try to understand what worked in the past. Imagine that you hired a virtual employee or a team of 10 virtual employees to run your account-based marketing campaign. Let's say you're going after 1,000 companies or 10,000 companies. You just realized after this presentation it's going to take you a lot of effort to set up all those components together. So you hired a team of 10 people. You have the budget. You hired a team of 10 marketing executives, operations people to start setting campaigns for you. The first thing that they would do, a good demand generation manager, is to understand what worked in the past, because that's the first component in ABM. And so that's exactly what the Metadata AI operator, the virtual campaign manager, does for you. It goes into your Salesforce. Could be your Salesforce.com, could be a different CRM. It's, again, a one-click integration. And after you connect your CRM, it will pull all the opportunity data from your CRM and reach all the objects that are associated with the opportunities. So first it will rank your opportunity. So $1 million opportunity that was closed won in a month is going to be ranked higher than a $10,000 opportunity that was closed lost after a year. But nevertheless, it will take all the opportunities into consideration. The accounts and the contacts that are associated with those opportunities, even if all you as a customer had about them is just the name and the job title, maybe the industry and the company name, metadata will bring into the picture all the rest of the hundreds of signals that we have because of our data source aggregators. So we will bring in the technologies this company is using, the job title, the industries, the company size, the social stream. We'll give you all the signals about the particular buyer. How many people do you have to touch in order to close the deal? What's their job title, seniority, what groups do they belong to, what's their education, any kind of signal that might be relevant to your B2B tactic. And then it will essentially build your persona. Here you can see a portion of the persona. It can be anything from technologies, job titles, seniority, size of companies. It can be technology that they're using. It could be very kind of wealthy analysis of your ideal customer persona. And from here, you can dive directly. You can't see here, but there's a button in the bottom of the persona that you can click on and jump directly and translate your ICP, your ideal customer profile, into a list of target accounts and personas. Because again, we're using the same data taxonomy to build your analysis, so we can use the same analysis criteria that we have at the end of the analysis, and then take that analysis to the different data vendors automatically without having you manually calling up or emailing them the criteria. We automatically then take the same criteria to all the different data sources, and we go and ask them, do you have companies that fit this criteria? Do you have companies who are using these technologies and are currently in a buying cycle and are within those industries and are from these locations? And do you have those kind of people inside? We need 6 people from each company. These are their job titles, their seniority, and their group, and their skill set, and so on and so forth. And those data sources will go and start giving us those lists of companies. And we won't stop at 1 or 2 or 5. We'll go into all the data sources that metadata is connected to, and to try to bridge the gap, because no data source will give you 100% match. But all of them together will give you 80% match. And that's what the system is trying to do. It also knows how to translate between an industry on LinkedIn to an industry on AG Data to an industry on ZoomInfo and Inside View and Bora, because those are translated differently in the taxonomy within those platforms. So now you have your profile, and you translate this profile into an audience, and you start creating your audiences. The idea is to create as many possible segments as you can, as long as it's still within your ideal customer profile and your target accounts. So let's say you have only 10,000 accounts in the whole wide world that you can market to. And let's say you have to touch, quote unquote, touch 10 people within your organization in order to close a deal. You have multiple personas, stakeholders, so you have to go through them. That's wonderful. But even if you still have a small list of 10,000 companies and 10 people within them, you can take that 100,000 contacts list, and you can start segmenting it in many, many ways. You can segment that list based on job title, based on seniority, based on technology, based on buyer intent, based on social signals. You can base it on location, company size. You can say, I want to run this particular campaign, again, on the C-level executives of my top-level target accounts. I want to run this against all of the companies that are currently in the market for my kind of solution. Maybe I want to run a higher bid, or I want to run a different type of content. Again, doing those things manually will take you kind of forever, but doing it with a platform like Metadata, we can slice and dice those in minutes, gives you the power to run what we call high-frequency marketing. So you understand what's worked in the past. You have a very clear insight of your ideal customer profile. It's never one profile, by the way. It's multiple profiles. You may want to build one profile for your top, larger deals. You may want to build a profile that is absolute, maybe a profile for a competitive deal, so on and so forth. And you want to create corresponding audiences to all of them. And once you have those audiences ready, you actually want to preview them. You don't want to just create a custom audience and then start marketing to it right away. You want to take a look if this audience is the right audience for you. And you know it's best to take that look instead of you is your sales counterpart. More than not, we see more and more chief revenue officers and VP sales who are pushing for solutions like Metadata and the like to actually help the sales team, like Ty mentioned before, because of the convergence between the two functions. Sales is actually pushing more and more for marketing to serve them with inbound leads within their target account. And so they're actually becoming more and more involved. Within many of the accounts that we work with, marketing is actually handing off the preview task to their salespeople. Because at this point, you basically solved half the puzzle. You know what worked in the past, and you know who to go after in the future. And now you're giving your sales counterpart the insight and the question, will you agree that if I get you those companies and those people to come to you as an inbound lead, will you be delighted? Will you be able to close that opportunity as a closed one? Would that be a qualified SQL for you? And if it is, then you know that at least half the job you've done right. When you get that person to come in as an inbound lead, your sales counterpart will give you credit for it, and you'll be able to show your attribution and contribution to the pipeline. So you define your profile, you translate it into an audience, you preview the audience, and you're good. Now you've confirmed and verified with your sales counterpart that these are the right companies and the right contacts to go after. Now the only thing, quote unquote, you have to do is to actually get those people to come to you and those companies to come to you as an inbound lead. The way to do it with metadata is to use multivariate experimentation. Metadata promises you and guarantees you two things. One is that it will free you from all the vagueness of targeting. You can see exactly every company and every contact you're about to target before you target them, and you can build those targets using insights of your sales force. You can build them on your own kind of knowledge of the tribe, and you can build them using all the signals that are available in the market: buyer, buyer intent, technographic, demographic, firmographic, anything that is available today publicly and privately. The second thing that you get from metadata is the freedom to walk away from all the technical mundane tasks. You never have to do a task twice. You never have to set up a campaign, do the A/B testing, put a tag, the converge pixel, so on and so forth. So how does metadata actually know how to use and how to run all of those experiments? Drag and drop. It's a simple drag and drop process in which you have all of your audiences ready for you. As you can see, it's a kind of a 5 stages wizard. And at the end of the wizard, you click deploy, and you have 1,000 campaigns live. And so what metadata will do is it will associate an offering like a collateral, a white paper, an ebook, a case study, maybe an analyst guide, so on and so forth. It will associate that particular offer with creatives, and it will associate them with a segment. Once that association is happening, you can start dragging and dropping the audiences of the channel. You can say, on Facebook, I want to target those audiences. On LinkedIn, maybe more of my companies are actually on LinkedIn. I want to start targeting more audiences there. I want to drag and drop my target accounts, my target competitors, my buyer personas, maybe companies that are currently in the market for my product or service, so on and so forth. You start dragging and dropping those audiences. Next, you're going to start dragging and dropping the assets. The ebooks, I want to run on Facebook, this ebook. On LinkedIn, I want to run my 5 case studies. On programmatic, I want to run my 3 case studies, or white paper, what have you. And then you do the same thing with ads. What creative would you like to enable and activate? Okay, for this white paper, I have 3 creatives. I want to activate all 3 of them on LinkedIn. And for this case study, I want to activate those 4. And maybe with the click of a button, you can change the creative. You can change the wording. You can change the image. You can change the button or the name of the button. You can change anything you want. It's a very quick kind of duplicate variable, and then you get another set of experiments. So the drag and drop nature of this allows you to literally set up 1,000 campaigns within, realistically, 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and you're done with all of those campaign setups and everything that is taken care of behind the scenes. When you have a new landing page, already the metadata pixel will be there, and it will encapsulate all the pixels you ever had to put together manually in the past. It will put together a retargeting pixel. So if someone comes to your landing page but doesn't convert, automatically gets retargeted. If someone comes to your page and doesn't convert, you will see who what company came, because we have their IP address. We're connected to many IP to company data sources like Orb, Kickfire, LiveRamp, etc. So we can do that translation. You can find out quickly that the conversion pixels from LinkedIn and other networks will be there. So when a conversion happens, it will automatically let you know. The webhook from the landing page to the marketing automation, in case the landing page is not created by the marketing automation. All of those the A/B testing of the different creatives and the collateral, the channels, all of those tasks are automatically encapsulated within this process. So you're running your campaigns. Now what? Once you deployed, you'll see that all of your campaigns are up and running. And very quickly, what the AI operator does is start looking at the campaigns that are working better and campaigns that are working kind of not as good. And usually the ratio is 20-80. The Pareto rule works here as well. Usually 20% of the campaign will yield and contribute about 80% of your pipeline. And it will really become campaigns that you've never seen before, because the nature of experimentation lets you get 3 things. The benefits are 3-way. One, you get a very quick benefit of understanding what your bottlenecks are. By the nature of experimentation, if you use the same landing page in 20 different experiments, and that landing page seems to be kind of getting the right prospects, but they don't convert, you know for a fact that you have a problem with the landing page. Maybe the landing page is too long. Maybe the form is not about the fold. Maybe the form is too long, and instead of asking 10 different fields, today you can ask for just one, because metadata will automatically enrich all the data. You just have to ask for an email, the job title, the name, the company name, the industry, all of that will be automatically enriched for you. There's no need today to ask for those fields that are publicly available. And so fixing those bottlenecks is the first kind of usability of multi-variate experimentation. The second one is the optimization. Very quickly, you find the campaigns that are performing 5, 6, 10x than your usual campaign, 60% conversion rate. I think Kai was mentioning some of the email conversion rates that are very, very significantly higher than the average. Here, the same thing with advertising. You see a significantly higher than average success because the Metadata AI operator finds the best match. What exact segment of the audience works best with this particular creative that they click on, and what exact collateral language do they download from, and what channel and campaign type am I going to get it for the most economical way. And these are the exact kind of hidden gems campaign that you would otherwise not find if you didn't run 1,000 different experiments. And the most important thing to remember, which is the third one, is predictability. Yes, you'll get a lot of boost in your lead to opportunity conversion rate. Instead of one opportunity for every 100 leads, now you'll generate 2 opportunities for every 100 leads. That's a huge thing. Bigger than that is the predictability. If you know for a fact that if you invest $1,000, you're going to get 1 opportunity, that gives you predictability. That means that if you spend $1 million, you're going to get 1,000 opportunities. That's a huge thing because that means you can predict your marketing contribution. And that's what companies like Nutanix, MuleSoft, Intel, Amadox, and smaller companies, Ping Identity, and many, many others are doing with metadata, predicting their inbound lead flow from within their target accounts using social and programmatic ads. So just to give you kind of an understanding before we jump into the end of this this webinar and jumping into questions, is some of the ROI metrics. And so at the end of the day, you need to prove why are you using an orchestrator or an AI operator like metadata to set up all of your campaigns for you. And so a lot of time saved and a very quick ROI in terms of lead to opportunity conversion. You bring leads that actually convert into business and leads that salespeople ask for and not leads that are just coming out of nowhere. Companies that use us are all the way from a small seed stage startup like the one we're showing here right now. Those are fast movers, very hungry, and they need to move. They need to grow fast, and so they can use a solution like metadata to essentially compensate for the thing that they don't have. A marketing manager at the company that's seed stage doesn't have any resources. They have software and maybe they have a few contractors. So metadata operates as if they had 10 marketing operations managers working for them and setting up thousands of campaigns, something that would not be possible without a very kind of strong computing power. So kind of to wrap it up, what do you get when you use metadata with LinkedIn? First, you identify your ICP, your ideal customer profile. What type of companies, what type of people within those companies should we go after? Then you translate that insight into action. Tell me exactly what companies are fitting that bill and what people within those companies fit my personas. Awesome. Now you have your total addressable market within metadata. Now you want to start building the better pipeline by running thousands of experiments and checking what the best combinations that yield the highest pipeline impact for your company. And then finally, take a look at the reporting. It will tell you what companies are doing how, what website do they go to, how many times they click, they convert, what kind of opportunities were created, what's your best performing collateral, your best performing creative, your best performing segment of the audience, what's the best collateral for this particular buyer persona. You can run very, very wealthy reports because with every lead, not only does it get automatically enriched before it's pushed into your marketing automation system, but it also gets pushed with all the trailing information. So for every lead that comes through, even if someone signed up with a Gmail, you will finally see the company they come from. You'll see the corporate email. You'll see what version of the creative they clicked on, what channel they clicked on, what campaign type was it on, what segment were they sourced from, what offer did they convert on, so on and so forth. So save a lot of time, accelerate your pipeline, and then your penetration into named accounts will become predictable. So without further ado, I'm going to open it up for questions and hand it over to Nate, who will go through your Q&A one by one, and both Ty and myself will try to answer those accordingly.
Great. Thanks, Gil. As a reminder to the folks listening in, on the left there is a chat box which you can use to submit questions. We've already got a few coming in, but keep them coming and we'll get to as many as we can. So the first question is for Gil. It's somebody's asking about what the pricing model looks like for this service, and is it accessible to startups or people in the education space or different industries?
Yes, that's a great question. I'm happy to answer that. So our pricing starts at $1,000 per month. We have companies from kind of the biggest use case for the combination of metadata and LinkedIn would be for a B2B company, so companies who are selling to businesses. So that's the kind of the biggest focus, to make sure that you're not a consumer business selling like shoes or anything like that. So it starts at $1,000 at a very basic kind of offering, and it goes all the way to about $10,000 if you're kind of a larger company. And of course, we have enterprise pricing for companies like the Intel and Nutanix of the world. Specifically talking about schools and markets to architects, as long as you're B2B and you're selling to small like architect units or boutique shops, etc., and we can identify those businesses, you can certainly use the platform. We have financial services using the platform, healthcare, life science, etc. And so it's across geographies, across industries, as long as it's a B2B and you have kind of a good content that you can use to educate those prospects and get them to convert to an inbound lead.
Thanks, Gil. Next question coming in, looks like it's for Ty. So with the new options benefits from metadata, what's the advantage of LinkedIn in the larger basket of channels?
Yeah. So with LinkedIn, there are a couple things for folks to understand about leveraging the LinkedIn platform. And, I think first and foremost that when you think about ABM, the idea is you want to focus your resources on the highest value prospects. Of course, with your tech stack, you have to think about having a strong CRM platform, having automation software like metadata to help you succeed. I think another key component to that, in particular for B2B marketers, is having an investment on the LinkedIn platform. LinkedIn is the top social platform for B2B marketing, and anyone involved in account outreach should have a polished and active presence on LinkedIn. So while there are a lot of different ways to use LinkedIn for ABM, the account-based marketers should know about LinkedIn account targeting. What that allows you to do is upload a list of companies, or you can use metadata to target as well, and that's matched against 8+ million company pages on LinkedIn. And through LinkedIn, you can also refine that targeting strategy to focus in on specific roles within target accounts, including senior positions, which are involved in that decision-making process. So, with LinkedIn, it's really about having access to that 8 million plus companies and being able to reach decision makers. And that's what makes it so powerful in partnership with metadata as an account-based marketing tool.
Thank you, Ty. All right. Next question, let's start with Gil. So the question is, how do you make sure there isn't a mismatch between messaging and the channel when doing the experiments and doing them on LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's an easy one. So within the Metadata platform, you can associate a collateral with a creative, and then an offer, which we call a creative collateral, with the segment of the audience. So once those correlations are done, then there is no confusion, because it only circulates through within the rules, within the workflow that was set up.
Great, thanks. We have time for one more. So when it's an ABM question, So when experimenting with account-based marketing, is it more effective to focus on market segments that have been historically productive, or is it okay to use ABM to enter new markets?
Ty, do you wanna give it a start?
Yeah, I can give it a start. I think the first thing to understand, and this kind of goes with the whole conversation about experimentation, right? It's a test and learn approach. So I think when you're looking at ABM, it's important to start by not over-targeting, because you really want to begin to understand your marketing. And through the work that you do using tools like metadata, you're going to be able to refine your audience down. So one of the things that we tell our customers with LinkedIn is do not over-target, right? So you're able to reach, high caliber of people with accurate targeting. That doesn't mean that you limit your targeting to the point where you're not really understanding what's going to work best for you. So this is probably one of the top mistakes that I hear from LinkedIn account managers. So you really want to invest in having a balanced targeting strategy. Of course, that depends on your campaign goals and your imagination, but you want to ensure that it's not overly niche. So you're going to start broad, but not overly broad, and then niche down from there. And then once you begin to learn, you could get more advanced and do things like, excluding different segments, testing one targeting facet at a time, so you can really begin what works with that A/B testing strategy, and then begin to combine account-based marketing strategies with other tactics as well. So that's what I would say for targeting and getting started that way. So Gil, do you have anything to add to that?
I would say that's very accurate. I would just say just kind of double emphasis on you want to have a very good balance between not targeting too many people, because then you're back into the world of spray and pray. But you also don't want to narrow down too much, because then you just won't reach to any of them. I mean, even if you try to target 1,000 people, imagine you're only going to get the cookies and the mobile IDs and what so on and so forth of 700 people. And then, if you really want to target those 700 people, the likelihood that you won't find each and every one of them every day. And so that's why it's beneficial for you to define as many segments as you can, as long as all of them are qualified and targeted, and then start experimenting and see what works, what doesn't work, and learn from it. Move to the agile marketing method versus the waterfall, trying to kind of learn and know everything ahead of time before the year even starts.
Great. Thanks, Gil, and thanks, Ty. I think we are out of time. Before we go, I just want to repeat that the webinar was recorded, and we'll be sending out a link to that recording later today. We also have, if you would like to learn more about account-based marketing, there's a cookbook that Metadata is offering. So if you follow the link to you see on the screen, or it'll be in the email follow-up as well, you can check out our ebook. Also, if you're going to be at the Marketo Summit next week, please be sure to stop by the Metadata booth. We'll be at booth number 444. Thanks, everyone, and have a great afternoon and a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Ty. Thank you, Nate. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Metadata team.